PBA Summer Tour on ESPN is being brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood Age. For that clean, crisp taste, this Bud's for you. By Pizza Hut, home of pan pizza that's winning the hearts of America. Pizza Hut, making it great. And by Midas and its dealers across the country. Nobody beats Midas, nobody. Making his second straight appearance in the championship round, 56-year-old Les Zikes of Palatine, Illinois, will be shooting for his 5th career PBA title. His opponent in match number 1, John Handegard, captured his first ever PBA seniors title last week in Hammond, Indiana. Huntsville, Alabama's Jimmy Certain is qualified in the middle of the stack this week after averaging nearly 230. While last week's top seed, Dick Beattie of Dearborn Heights, Michigan, will need to win just 2 games tonight in order to notch his first ever PBA title. And powerful John Hricsina of Franklin, Pennsylvania, has nailed down the number 1 position, and with a victory here tonight could join Earl Anthony as the only other 2-time winner this year on the senior tour. And welcome everyone to spacious M66 Bowl located in Battle Creek, Michigan for tonight's championship round finals of the $50,000 Battle Creek PBA Senior Open. Hi, everybody. I'm Denny Schreiner, and welcome to the Snap, Crackle, and Strike capital of the world, Battle Creek, Michigan. And working with me once again tonight, PBA Hall of Famer Mike Durbin. And, Mike, is it too early to start thinking about PBA Senior Player of the Year?
No, Dan, I really don't think it is. And we have 2 of the leading candidates on tonight's telecast. In our number 4 position, last week's winner, John Handegard. In our number 1 position, John Hricsina. If either one of these guys wins, Dan, they're going to gain ground on Earl Anthony, who was not here this week.
Question also, will history repeat itself? We have a couple of players that were on the telecast a week ago in Hammond.
Well, in the number 5 position, we have Les Zikes, who was on the telecast last week, almost won his first game, and Dick Beattie, our tournament leader last week. And in that number 3 slot, no slouch himself, our senior PBA Player of the Year, Jimmy Certain.
A record for 300 games in the senior tournament here this week, 4 of them. We may see number 5 here this evening. We'll be back with the start of match number 1 featuring last week's champ, John Handegard, and ABC Hall of Famer Les Zikes when we return to Battle Creek, Michigan. Creek, Michigan, Denny Schreiner along with Mike Durbin, ready for game number 1 of the $50,000 Battle Creek PBA Senior Open. Championship round pair, lanes 30, or make that 45 and 46. And Les Zikes, who just threw 3 excellent shots in practice, will open up championship round play on lane 45. Right by the pocket it goes, and he leaves the washout.
And he just lost that right off his hand, Dan. If we watched him throw his last practice shot, he lifted the ball beautifully and turned it. This one just fell off his hand. And I think it's just nerves of starting the match. He's going to try and get the ball to the left of the head pin and send the head pin into the 10 pin to make the washout. Has to hurry. Almost.
A game effort by Zikes, but he opens up in the first and swings the door wide open for last week's champion, John Handegard. Let's see if the confidence continues to flow.
Well, it did all week long. John experimented with hand releases. He's trying that same spin shot that he used last week. When he has his hand behind the ball like this, he spins it. Spins it for a solid 10 right there, but a good shot. Good opening shot.
You and I were commenting on his practice shots that his ball seemed to be rolling out a little bit into the pocket, but I guess as long as it's rolling out in the pocket, no harm done.
Well, on the left lane, the right-handers tell me hooked a little bit more than the right lane. It was rolling out a little bit more. That one just settled in there pretty nice and hit real hard, but the 6-pin flew right over the 10.
Of course, that 4th championship round appearance this year, 4 in a row he has made. He's been the hottest player on the senior tour without question.
And he's wearing that same pink shirt this week, Dan. John, the 4-step player. See how he holds the ball down and he pushes it out. It's right in time. The head's steady. Now, what he worries about is that head going down as he's going up, and he loses leverage. He has to think walking tall because he has a tendency to lean over a little bit.
Up the track it goes, and a solid strike for Handegard on lane 45. So his first 2 shots were right in the pocket.
And that one definitely, you could see roll out right at the pocket there.
Les Zikes will try and make up for lost time. I think of the lanes, the championship round, Perry liked lane 46 the best.
A little better lift. He knew it. It's just execution.
Nothing worse than opening up in the first frame, though, because especially against a player who is riding a high like Handegard is, you know he's going to step up and take the opportunity.
Well, watching Les in practice, Danny, he was relaxed. He's joking. He's smiling. He just seemed very casual about the whole thing. And I really think he's going to come back and make a nice, good performance.
All right, there's a look at Boulder Track, a part of Boulder Vision.
And we can see he starts at 16 miles an hour, right over the 10th board. Has to hurry again. Wow. Suddenly he's just lost on lane 45. Leaves the 128. At least he got the 10 pin out this time.
Of course, Boulder Track charting the player's location at 15 feet, which is right at the arrows, and then again at 45 feet tells us what board out of the 40 that the ball is on. And of course it tells us what speed the ball is at 15 feet and again at 45 feet.
Nice conversion.
Well, without question, his adjustment will have to come on lane 45, and we'll have to keep an eye on what he does there the next time around. Meanwhile, Handegard working on a strike in the second, leads by 11.
Maybe we should mention, you know, these two bowled each other on the championship round just last week. Handegard had to strike the first ball in the 10th to beat Les last week.
A little more swing to this one on the right-hand lane. The 6-pin kicks out the 10, so Handegard doubles early on.
And he just was very aggressive at the point of release on that one, Denny. Just really went after that. Wanted that double to get himself out 21 pins ahead. Can bump it to 31 with one more now. John at 17.5 miles per hour, swinging it to the 9th board at 15 feet. It only slows down 1 mile and 6/10 and goes out to the 8.5 board. Bellying it not very much, is he?
And that one looked like he might have swung it just a tad more. Pretty direct. That was direct.
Ooh. He told me he's trying to throw the ball as straight as he can. Exactly what he told me before the show.
So funny you mentioned that, because John Hricsina, our top seed, said, Denny, the final game of qualifying, I decided instead of going a little straighter and harder, I was going to start hooking the ball and throwing it slower, and all he did was average 237 for match play to lead the event.
Well, there's different strokes for different folks.
Okay. Different ways to knock them down. I wouldn't disagree with Hricsina at this point in time, the way he's been striking. Cross lane at the 10, no problem for hand grenade. John Handegard, who is trying to make it 2 in a row here this evening in Battle Creek. We'll be back with more of match number 1 right after this. And that's a shot that you see for John Handegard in the 5th, the soft 10. While we were away, Les Zikes doubled in the 4th and the 5th to cut the match to just 10 pins.
And both of them were similar hits, Denny. They came in light. This is the shot on lane 45 that's giving him so much trouble. Watch the follow-through. See it go left? It indicates that he's not sure of himself on this lane, but the ball comes back and gets the light hit anyway.
So Handegard, who is yet to miss the pocket, shooting it yet another 10-pin, kind of flattens it out a little bit, has no problem there.
His only problem is knocking that 10-pin down. His 21-pin lead is now down to 9. He needs to get a strike on this left lane, start putting some pressure on Zikes, because Zikes can take the lead with another strike.
A record 4 300 games authored this week in Battle Creek, and the scores were very high. The professionals really had no trouble getting to the pocket. It was more a question of figuring out the carry.
Right. Jimmy Certain led our qualifying round, averaged 233 for his first 18 games.
Well, Well, it looked like it might be a little too much turn. Handy with a smile as he heads back. But when you trip out the 4, I guess that's what you always do, just smile.
Well, that ball is rolling up and just quitting right at the pocket, and that 2-pin went to the sideboard and said, 4-pin, fall down.
Now Zikes, who's on a double, could take the lead for the first time in the match if he strikes here in the 6th.
This is his favorite of the 2 lanes. See how quick that follow-through went through then, and the elbow broke again. He just is not sure of himself and won't trust the ball.
Facing the bucket now with a little longer oil pattern this week, Michael. The bucket shouldn't be quite as hard to convert.
Now watch how quick and where the follow-through goes. The elbow breaks, and he snapped it through in a hurry. That indicated he didn't get any lift, and you see the result. The ball didn't make it up. He leaves the 2-4-5-8. Tough spare. Trouble, trouble, trouble.
Yeah, looked like he tugged it from the get-go. So once again, Les Zikes with an open frame. This one coming in the 6th. Instead of having an opportunity to gain momentum and take the lead in the match, he now trails by 27.
Well, I mean, when you got a chance to take the lead and you open, you don't expect to win matches.
Past the pocket again, leaves the 2-4-5, and right now Les Zikes is lost in Battle Creek.
And his body English is just telling you that he's upset with himself. He's lost a little bit too. It almost looks like he's thrown in the towel.
Tries to straighten it out and takes the 2 and the 4 off the 5, so it's back-to-back opens for Les Zikes.
We see there that he hit about 12th and a half board, tried to swing it out to 9 at 16 miles an hour on the left lane, and it just didn't make it back.
16 miles an hour, a little slower than what the professionals were throwing last week in Hammond, Indiana. And one more time, the 4-pin trips out, thankfully so. A wiggle from the 10, but it remains.
And it's also slower than Handegard is throwing the ball. He's throwing it over 17 miles an hour. But he's going straighter. Usually when you throw it straighter, Dan, it goes faster. Depending on who's throwing it, of course.
Sure. Well, that's been the discussion for years. The speed and the ball hits the pins. What carries better? A little slower speed, medium speed, more velocity? Many people will tell you that you want velocity. That's what gets the pins moving.
I know Nelson Burton Jr. always believed that a good hard turn and straight in the pocket carried very well. Maybe it did years ago, but nowadays it seems like guys like Amleto Monticelli who go around with that medium speed seem to carry the best.
Handegard leading by 38 in the 8th, and he could pretty much salt this one away with a couple of strikes. For that matter, even a couple of marks. Up high again in the pocket, leaves the 4-pin. He's flirting with a 4-9 or a 4-10 that high in the pocket, though.
Yeah, if he slows that speed down, as we were just talking about, a hair more, he's going to have company with that 4-pin. Needs to keep firm speed on both lanes.
Jimmy Certain next in line. Dick Beattie, our number 2 seed, and John Hricsina, Franklin, Pennsylvania. The top dog this week in Battle Creek. Hricsina trying to win his 2nd PBA Seniors title of the year.
As Handegard is.
Handegard with one of those professional type games. Just throw the ball in the pocket every shot, make your spares, and figure out what you're going to do with the next one.
Well, remember, he was 1-8 in match play on television, and he won 3 in a row last week, and he's well on his way to winning his 4th here.
Well, the classic over adjustment now. Mary Kay kind of shakes her head in disbelief as Les struggling here in the championship round.
Well, I know Les right now just wants to finish and get out of here.
Unfortunately, you work so hard all week long and you bowl great to get to the championship round, and you just get there and don't get the kind of reaction that you want. Or you maybe don't make the shots that you'd like, and Les takes a bow for picking up the baby split.
Classic way to make the 3-10. Move to the left, right over, just right in the middle arrow. Hits the 3-pin on the right, it flex right in the 10. Like a professional should, huh, Danny?
Right. That last ball was on the nose. Of course, Mike's average builder this evening. How to adjust when you throw the ball on the nose. That's not been the problem for Les on lane 45. He's had trouble just getting it to the pocket.
Yeah. Well, he's had a variety of follow-throughs. He was striking in practice. And I know he's going to think the oil moved around or various things, and maybe it did a little bit, causing him to lose confidence, but he just didn't throw the ball the same way he did in practice.
Now, when the lights go on, arm swings normally tighten up a touch.
You're talking to Creaky Arm himself.
Still leading by 38. Comfortably so.
Good speed.
Perfect shot for John Handegard. And there's his lovely wife, Susan, who is not wearing blue. That's lavender. It's almost blue. Blue is out of the question. Blue is a bad color for her.
That's what she said.
Sure. She had red on last week?
Beg your pardon?
Did she have red on last week?
Pink, yeah.
Pink.
Well, it was kind of a cross between red and
like
pink.
a mauve. What do we know? It worked, whatever it was. And so is John Handegard right now. Doubles up and ices Les Zikes here in game number 1. Handy could shoot 227 if he fills out the 10.
And he's a winner right now without even throwing another shot. So he'll be on to face the senior player of the year.
Yeah, and a tough customer in championship round play, Jimmy Certain. So for ABC Hall of Famer Les Zikes, an early out here in Battle Creek. But you can bet that Les will be back ready and raring to go in Buffalo for the Senior Touring Pro Doubles Championship a little bit later on in August.
And he'll be there in Canton also for the senior championship.
Good. He won in Canton.
Right.
Got to be frustrating, though, to go through all those games and the high of making the telecast 2 weeks in a row for Les. He just kind of got out there and hasn't been able to get lined up.
Shoot 160. Anytime you shoot 160, you're disappointed. So, on the other hand, Handegard, very professional game. Kept every ball in the pocket for the most part. 216. If he starts carrying, look out.
I don't know why, but I don't think 216 will be enough to win game number 2.
Well, we'll see.
Les Zikes with a $2,000 paycheck. We'll add that to his PBA senior career earnings. There's the shot. Figures. No carry. And we'll take a break here from Battle Creek M66 Bowl. Les Zikes will make an early exit. When we return, it's John Handegard and PBA Senior Player of the Year, Jimmy Certain.
Unfortunately, septic...
That ever happened to you? Of course it has. You throw the ball through the heart of the pins and you leave something bad. In this case, I left something very bad, the 4, 6, 7, 10. But that's not the worst thing that can happen. The important thing is, what do I do on the next shot so that I don't throw that ball through the heart of the pins again? What kind of adjustment do I or do you make? Well, here's a couple of facts for you to keep in mind that'll help you make those adjustments properly. The first thing that you want to keep in mind is that every lane has 40 boards in it. And the pocket for both a left-handed and right-handed bowler is the 17th board. Now, this particular shot that I just threw went through the heart of the pins at about the 20th board. So my job on the next shot is to make an adjustment to get that ball 3 boards to the right. Now, here's fact number 2. I lined up on the 19th board here and aimed at my target out there, and it went through the heart of the pins. Now, when I move 1 board to the left here, that brings my bowling ball up 1.5 boards to the right at the pins. So theoretically, if I move 2 boards over here, it should bring it up 3 boards to the right at the pins, and theoretically put it in the 1-3 pocket. Let's see if theory works in practice. you have it. Remember the adjustment. One board to the left means a board and a half to the right at the pin. We'll see you again next Thursday when we'll have another average builder.
And Jimmy Certain in match number 2 here from Battle Creek when we return. Using his strikes judiciously. Doubles in the 2nd and the 3rd. And in the 9th and the 10th, he had 5 strikes. Les Zikes had only 4. He had an easy victory for Handy.
Yeah, it's amazing that only one difference in strikes, but a lot of difference in pins.
Handegard, who averaged 242.6 last week in the championship round, tries to win his 5th in a row.
Certain making him finish on the other lane.
Looks like Handegard made a nice adjustment during the commercial break because that ball did not go high on 45. That was flush.
That was just, he might have moved to half a board or board left.
Yep, I think he did. Obviously, you watched the average builder.
Jimmy Certain, who will be swinging the ball more than probably any of our players except for John Hricsina.
And he'll play aggressively. That one right, though, cutting through the nose and leaves himself a Durbin here in the first. 3-6-9-10.
3-6-9-10, right. Let's see how he shoots it, whether he shoots it from the right or the left. See if he watched the average builder a few weeks ago.
Nothing worse than a Durbin to open up a championship round.
He's shooting it from the right. But he switched balls. Trouble.
Needs a little help, and it's 9 out in the first. So for Handegard, both of his opponents have stepped up and opened in the opening frame.
And that definitely will loosen up your swing. He plays it right about over the 2nd arrow. He was trying to get it further right than that, Den, and he knew he was in trouble here. It just takes the 3-9 straight back and barely hits the 6 pin.
And this has not been Jimmy Certain's favorite pair. After shooting 290 in match play, he promptly walked up and shot 145 on this pair of lanes. Will he be able to dismiss that from memory? Only time will tell, but he comes back and shakes the strike loose on 45.
That's in the back of his mind. He has not dismissed it from memory, I'll guarantee you that.
Professional bowlers are like professional golfers. They can remember every bogey and double bogey on every hole that they've ever played.
Bowlers can remember every tap and every split. So.
That's exactly right. Handegard looking to double up in a hurry, and he does. John Handegard, who won last week, I think is thinking 2 in a row.
It's amazing what that confidence will do. We talked about he couldn't win a game. He couldn't bowl 180. It didn't seem like that. Now suddenly, that confidence is there. He's relaxed. He said last week, when he got up and needed a strike to beat Les Zikes, that he felt no pressure. You know that you're just really into it then. Your concentration is so great that you're not even nervous. You're just thinking about the task at hand. Ooh, the tender touch, as Billy Whaler used to say.
6 pin a little lazy, but got the job done anyway.
17.4. He was at 17 point, right over the 2nd arrow, swinging it a half a board at 45 feet. Boy, he is going straight.
So he's made little or no adjustment on 46.
Except if he makes it with speed, he goes a little firmer. Of course, he's right at, he was at 17.6 and 17.4, so pretty much the same.
Oh, plenty more room here, and Jimmy Certain has basically bowled himself into a corner here in the early stages.
1, 2, 4, 6, 10, and we see Handegard's shot on the left lane, 17.4, the same speed, but he's further left. So we see that the left lane is hooking more. Swinging it a board and a half on that lane, the half a board on the other lane.
It's amazing how close the speeds are between the 2 lanes. Right now, Jimmy Certain trying to come from behind, and he has dug himself a very deep hole here in game number 2.
Well, that was the adjustment for the 3-6-9-10. 5-step delivery. Pushes it out now. Ball's right in time. Shoulder high backswing. And a little short shotgun follow through. Again, it's not what you would teach your junior bowler, but Jimmy's made it work for him over the years.
Very effectively. Earnings in excess of $300,000 throughout his PBA career. And he's the reigning PBA Senior Player of the Year. But right now he finds himself down by almost 50. And guess what? It's not getting any better.
Had the 2-8-10. The 2-pin did him a favor and fell over, or I don't know if it's a favor or not, but tough split no matter what. And he's just lost on this pair. He's definitely thinking of that 145 game. Swings it out to about the third board and has no chance to make it back.
Plenty of speed, tries to bounce it out. The 10-pin, that is, so it's 9 out. Jimmy Certain has 42 through 4 frames. That's not nearly enough as he trails by 58 here in Battle Creek. We'll be back with more of game number 2 after these messages. The Handegard string stopped in the 4th.
With a solid 4-pin that was high all the way. Lost that ball. And it didn't make it back. 2-4-5. John did that a few times last week. He throws the shot on the right lane. When he gets to the left lane, his thumb is shrunk just slightly, and it flies right off his hand, and he loses a little bit sometimes on the left lane.
You mean your thumb shrinks just between shots?
Well, his does. So you need to watch the average builder last week. We just blowing the thumb hole a little bit.
That's what I do.
I know.
Mine doesn't shrink that much, though. Beautiful conversion of the 2-4-5. A confident player is John Handegard.
And Jimmy Certain is a lost player right now, especially on lane 46. Actually, I think Jimmy ought to just increase the speed a little bit and try and go more direct and not hook the ball so much.
Well, let's see what Jimmy Certain of Huntsville, Alabama comes up with. And there is his lovely daughter, Brittany. And now Brittany a little concerned. The old slash-o-matic, and there's a smile for Brittany, obviously so, when Dad strikes.
She's seeing herself on TV there, too, so she's typical young girl.
She looks pretty good to me.
Yeah. Looks pretty good to Jimmy, too.
Sure. Only 8 years old. Well, now Jimmy really has to get something started. If he doesn't strike here, he can almost say adios for the match.
And you see him pounding that rosin into the holes. The PBA rules make him wipe that off if it's on the surface of the ball. But he can use it to aid his grip.
Needs a double, plenty of room, and way too much. And it could be another open frame for Jimmy Certain.
Just not his favorite pair of lanes. Amazing how bowling is. That a guy can be cruising along, and he averaged 230 in the qualifying round, shot 290, had just crushed him in the morning, came to this pair and shot 145. Gives it a shot. Nice conversion.
Absolutely perfect. So Jimmy Certain gives the Battle Creek bowling fans something to cheer about.
He really went for this. To firm, switch balls, a little turn here. Has to hit the 2-pin on the left. This is how to do it then.
Back to live action. Handegard right back in the pocket where he has been through the majority of the game and a half.
As long as he keeps that speed up, he just doesn't miss the pocket.
I guess turnabout is fair play because Certain defeated him earlier this year, 216 to 163. Uh-oh, an up-close look at that conversion.
Looks easy from that angle, huh?
That 10-pin really got bottlenecked, didn't it?
Whacked right in the neck, right.
Mm-hmm.
Got that one over the foul line. There's the result.
So John Handegard with another double in the 6th and the 7th. And he leads by 64. So Jimmy Certain may be packing his bag shortly.
Yeah. If I add up right, the best Jimmy can get is 192 if he strikes all the way out. So.
Little tighter line, better shot. Well, he's painfully making the adjustments. The only problem is Handegard's just too far ahead.
Well, when you come out and you throw 3 opens out of the first 4 frames, you just can't expect to win matches.
Handegard's given his opponents virtually no room to breathe. Started the opening game with strikes.
Well, when they're getting opens like that, I mean, Les bowls 160, and Jimmy is bowling 160 right now. Usually 160 is not too hard to beat.
No. Better shot, hit the pocket on 45. The result not exactly what he was hoping for.
Quickly switches balls and fires at the 10-pin on the fly.
More a frustrating miss, perhaps, than a miscalculation. The old buzzer, Buzz Fazio, PBA and ABC Hall of Famer, lives here in Battle Creek, and at 83 years young, will still go out and give you 2 shots aside or bowl you for whatever you want.
Or talk your ear off.
One of the 3. Meanwhile,
well, we're going to get a rematch of last week's championship match, but 1 game early this time between Beattie and Handegard.
Handegard with a possible 266.
I told you, if he starts carrying, look out.
A simple game and playing a very simple angle. Handegard right now can't believe that the game is this easy.
After struggling all those weeks and years, you know, he went 22 years looking for his first PBA title. It'd be really marvelous if he had to wait 1 week to get his second.
Oh, he had a great comment in the press room last week. He said, well, it took me 22 years to win my first one. I hope it doesn't take me that long to win the second.
Boy, suddenly that 145 game is looking good. Jimmy right now is in the throws. If he doesn't make this again, that he can bowl in the 130s. Oh boy. When it goes bad, it goes bad.
Oh, without question. Without question. Of course, John Handegard can relate to this. He shot 160, 150 his first 2 games on television this year, so he knows what Jimmy's going through right now. And believe me, nobody wants to go out and bowl like that.
No.
Big difference in the pair, though. Wouldn't you agree? If you circle the ball, apparently the shot isn't as good tonight as if you go right up the track with it.
It appears that way, but I'm going to reserve judgment on that until I see John Hricsina come over here and bowl.
I know. My thoughts exactly. Well, why not end with a Brooklyn? What else can you do? A certain shakes his head. 1 more strike, and it's 149.
There's a lot of X's and zeros in there. When you start playing tit-tat-toe in bowling, usually you have trouble.
Uh-oh. Going with that looping breaking shot there that ends up with a 9 count, a game of 148. Sad to say for Jimmy Certain, but without question, he'll be back and ready to go. And the players on the senior tour hitch up with the touring players in Cheektowaga, New York at Thruway Lanes.
Should mention that John Handegard, right after this tournament is over, is taking off for Austin, Texas to bowl the next 2 national stops in Austin and Wichita.
Why not? Right? And we'll take a break here after game number 2 because John Handegard is in control and ready to take on last week's top seed, Dick Beattie of Dearborn Heights, Michigan. Before we get to all that, though, bowling. It's Hunt's Bowling News. And welcome back, everyone, to M66 Bowl, located in Battle Creek, Michigan, for tonight's edition of the Bowling News. A very special edition, considering the fact that we will be unveiling the Bowler's Journal All-America team for the 89-90 season. Let's not waste any more time. Let's start with the ladies first. Lisa Wagner is still at the head of the class for the 2nd year in a row. She has been tabbed the captain. Lisa, who won 3 titles this past year, is making a record 8th straight appearance on the first team. As a result of winning back-to-back titles in the Sunshine State in 1990, last year's LPBT Rookie of the Year, Kim Terrell, is making her first ever appearance on the first team. Meanwhile, the 1989 LPBT Player of the Year, Robin Romeo, continued her excellent play. Despite winning only 1 title, she was once again a model of consistency. Leanne Barrett captured 2 more tour titles and now has 8 career professional wins. The talented right-hander from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, is destined to make the first team many more times in the years to come. And, of course, rounding out the top 5, Nicky Giannoulias, who returned to the winner's circle here in 1990. Nicky assembled one of the steadiest years in terms of cashes and finals in LPBT history. And moving over to the men's side, and speaking of history, Amleto Monticelli of Venezuela becomes the first ever foreign bowler to captain the first team. During the voting period, Amleto notched 5 PBA titles and won nearly $256,000 while appearing in the championship round 15 times. Making the All-American team in a big way is powerful Jim Pensack of Mayfield Heights, Ohio. Pensack, who has won a record 15 consecutive match games on national television, captured 4 PBA titles and also has won more than $100,000. Brian Voss is making the first team for the 3rd time, and of course he's the veteran of the squad. Voss parlayed his great performances into more than $200,000 in earnings. Chris Warren of Dallas, Texas, with his 2 victories earlier this year, joins the Bowler's Journal All-American first team for the first time in his career. The PBA Tour's leading money winner here in 1990 is now cashed in 19 of 22 tournaments. And, of course, last but not least, Mr. Consistency, Tony Westlake, fills out the top 5. This year, despite not having a tour victory, Tony is 7th in money earnings, 2nd in championship round appearances, 3rd in match play appearances, and, of course, 4th in performance points. The Bowler's Journal All-American teams have racked up more than 150 career 300 games, but the pros aren't the only ones to shoot 300s. As a matter of fact, in the month of June, 1,618 perfect games were bowled by amateurs across the country. Let's now take a look at the state-by-state breakdown. And that's a look at bowling news this week from M66 Bowl in Battle Creek, Michigan. Bowling news has been brought to you by Pizza Hut, makers of pan pizza. That's winning the hearts of America. Pizza Hut, making it great. We'll be back with match number 3 after this. Dick Beattie and John Handegard, a rematch of last week's title game in Hammond, and Beattie, the loser there, 258 to 188.
And Dick told me he's going to take a little bit more time this week.
The fastest bowler in the history of the championship round finals last week, Dick Beattie, trying to relax a little bit more, comes out, slashes the 5-pin, but the 10-pin holds steady. Interesting note for you trivia buffs, the largest margin of victory now in the PBA Senior Tour on television has changed. 104 pins as a result of that last game that John Handegard won. The old record was between Tita Semez and Billy Walden in San Antonio in 1988 when Tita won 268 to 166.
And John put a piece of tape in his thumb hole in between games there, so thumb must be shrinking slightly. You'd think after shooting that big game that he wouldn't want to touch that ball.
Little pop of the thumb.
Popped it right in there, though. This is getting to be monotonous. John did this for 3 games last week, just threw every ball in there, and he keeps doing it.
Well, a number of players have been waiting for years for this guy to really catch fire in the championship round because he obviously has the talent to get there on a weekly basis. It's just a question of making it pay off.
14 consecutive top 24 appearances. That's amazing.
Tremendous record, especially when you consider the fact that those senior events, there are players, nearly 200 players in the field for each one of these events. As that one rolled up high and he kicked out the 4.
Looked like just slightly softer speed on that, but it still got that 4-pin on there, rolled out right at the pocket.
Dick Beattie saying to himself, no, wait a minute. This happened to me last week. It can't happen again.
Except last week he started with a strike and a solid 7 and missed it. John still at 17.4 miles per hour, although he did swing a little bit more. He was at 12.5 the last time. Boy, I tell you, he's only bellying that ball a half a board from between 15 feet and 45 feet.
No problem this week with the 7, so the education is now complete.
Dick, a very quick bowler. Very simple game. Puts the ball down, kind of takes quick steps to catch up with it, and then lets it go. Very accurate.
One thing I like, though, is that timing. Get the ball into the swing early. Let the feet move a little bit and get ahead of the ball. So many people seem to want to delay that ball into their swing, and if you delay at the start, you're going to delay at the end.
That's right. The only thing is that, you know, you have to have quick feet to catch up with it when you put that ball down quickly like he does. Well, that looked like it was going to roll up for a 4-pin and just settle right in the pocket.
Handegard making handy work out of these first 3 opponents.
Well, not yet. Beattie's not finished yet. This guy can throw some strikes. I've watched him do it.
Handegard with a 21-pin lead. Had the first 3 and left a 10-pin in match number 2. Let's see if he can extend it here.
Got to keep that speed up, especially on lane 45. And he did. Boy, he's just hitting everything right. He comes in light, blows the 5.
And the important thing, the percentage of carry, nearly 100% right now for Handegard, who is still perfect. We'll be back. For Dick Beattie, unfortunately, he gets just 1 strike out of the 2 frames, this coming in the 5th.
And the other one looked just like this one, Dan. He was right solid in the 1-2 pocket, only this knocked down 10. The other one left a solid 7.
Meanwhile, John Handegard does not get number 5 in a row. A little limp 6-pin that time.
Well, he tried to fall on it, just missed it. He was rooting for it, I'll tell you. I think his Beattie's still life, though. I mean, he stared at a 4-bagger before in his life, believe me.
He has an excellent shot. Dick Beattie's thrown some beautiful shots already. He just hasn't been able to carry like Handegard.
John's got those 10 pins covered. Boy, he never leaves any doubt. He hits them twice.
Had 8 strikes in game number 2. If you look at the breakdown, John was 7 strikes on lane 45 before we started this one in the first 2 games, and 6 on 46. So he really doesn't have a favorite lane.
No, he's got them both zeroed in pretty well.
So knowing that, will Hricsina start the match, give him an opportunity to finish first?
He hasn't won this one yet, Dan.
Errant shot that we've seen in 3 games out of Handegard as he leaves the 6-10.
Usually, you know, when you make that mistake, you have that big penalty, and he got away with it at that time. Left just the 6-10. Wants to just move over, throw that straight shot, and have the ball hit both pins, and sit down. He's got to keep that speed up on that left lane.
Excellent spare for Handegard, and let's take a look. The speed is beginning to drop here.
See, that speed went from 17.4 down to 17, down to 11.5. He had board 11.5 at 15 feet, and he down to 15.5 at 45. Still just a half a board belly. He's got to keep that speed up.
Meanwhile, Beattie continues to have carry problems as he has done nothing but hit the pocket here in the championship round.
But he's left 3 7-pins on lane 46.
6th frame, and he has not missed the pocket yet.
Interesting. He chose to finish on 46, and he just cannot strike on it.
Well, if you could ever figure out as a left-hander how not to leave the 7, or as a right-hander how to kick out the 10 most of the time, you'd be a wealthy individual.
That's very, very true, Dennis. Astute observation there.
So many times you're lined up, you throw good shots, but if the pins don't fall, you just make the adjustment and you slap the 6-pin around.
Well, he deserved a break as well as he's bowled. He's gotten nothing. again, taking such a long time. Watch the 3-pin, third from the right, goes to the sideboard and gets both the 6 and the 10. Handegard back in the pocket.
Speed looked better on that shot.
But again, that's the tighter of the two lanes, or appears to be tighter anyway.
A member of the PBA for 22 years.
On that particular shot, he got his speed back up to 17.3. Most of the time, it's been right at 17.4. I can really put the hammer to him with one here. Ooh, did that hold? I didn't know whether it was or not.
Looked like he turned it a fraction early, but the speed 17.7 miles per hour, so we've zeroed right in on it. As long as he's 17.5 or above, that thing isn't going past the pocket.
It was the only one that did. Was down to 17.0. Dick has to strike here.
Gave it a little extra roll, and you could see it coming right through the nose. Tried to maybe help it a little bit because of those soft sevens he's been leaving.
That's a natural tendency. You try and stuff it in there tight. Should mention his wife, Jerry. He wanted me to mention that they're one of the few bowling couples in America that both of them have bowled 300 games. I imagine the Sutars probably have done that.
Oh, yeah. Judy and Dave.
And the Robinsons, Cheryl and Ray, have done that probably.
Well, the Wagners have.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Durbins have.
Yeah, no, the Durbins haven't.
You mean Debbie doesn't have a 300 game?
Not yet. Give her time.
She's been watching the average builders.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I'm just checking. Find that so hard to believe. Down by 50. And make it more as insult to injury, and Dick Beattie is just about ready to finish third this week.
Well, Handegard's going to make it 6 in a row, looking for his second title. And one of these two guys is going to win this tournament and put some pressure on Earl Anthony. Going to equal him in victories, and they will get close to him in money, no matter which one of them wins.
Of course, the next senior event we've already mentioned, Senior Touring Pro Doubles in Cheektowaga down the road in August. And, of course, the biggie, the PBA Senior Open at Hall of Fame Lanes in the Hall of Fame city, Canton, Ohio.
I think if I were Hricsina, I'd make him finish on the left lane. Not much to choose from, but...
Will Hricsina finish first and let Handegard bowl last?
No, I don't think so. I think Hricsina is going to start the game on the left lane and finish on the right.
Okay.
That way he makes Handegard. The only trouble he's had is the one ball through the nose on 45.
And who's counting?
Yeah.
Was averaging 234 for the first two games coming in. Guess what? That average is going up if he strikes here.
Boy, he looks just like he did last week. Just every ball in the pocket.
He has turned into a virtual machine. What a turnaround in a career. And all by the shot clock. Isn't that interesting?
Right. Because he went out and just practiced with his own shot clock, realized that he wasn't anywhere near the 25 seconds, and he relaxed and got up there and made the shots like he's been doing in qualifying all along.
Told me this week, too, that he really didn't feel comfortable, didn't feel like he had a great shot. He was just trying to grind it out and make the telecast if he could, take his chances. Meanwhile, his chances are pretty good. If he were a wagering man right now, I'd send him first flight to Las Vegas.
Oh, Reno, huh?
You bet. Anywhere close.
Atlantic City's closer.
That's just fine. This guy's got the hot hand, Michael.
John Hricsina is a very determined man. He's not going to be defeated easily.
Yeah, but this guy's the scores just keep going up. 216 first game, 252 second game, and make it 265 in game number 3. What's in store for the title match?
I don't know, but when you're leaving 4 9s on the fill ball, that's when you know things are going your way.
Susan Handegard keeping score, but she has to be dazzled by this performance. never fails. There's the carry when least needed. So if Dick Beattie can strike a couple more times, it would be a game of 188. And guess what?
That's the high game against Handegard at this time.
It's also the game he shot last week.
Only Handegard shot more than he did last week.
Now, as good a bowler as Dick Beattie is, he will be back. And once again, Handegard dispatching yet another opponent. And he'll stand in line and wait for the top seed, John Hricsina here from Franklin, Pennsylvania.
Well, we have to see if somebody can bowl 200 at John Handegard.
See if somebody can get by the first couple of frames without being down. Handy's done nothing but strike in the early stages of every match, so he's grabbed everybody by the throat in the first 3 frames.
And Beattie, as he did last week, he finishes with a flurry of strikes. He finished with 4 last week. He gets 3 this week.
Well, we'll go to break here. The final score, 265 to 188. Handegard continues to move right up the ladder here in Battle Creek. Just 1 rung left to go. But there's the top dog on top. We'll be back after this. Championship Frame is brought to you by Midas. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody. And we'll pick up the action. Game number 1. This coming in the 6th frame. The tough bucket for Les Zikes.
Well, he could have taken the lead if he'd have struck. Didn't make a good shot and made a worse shot at the spare. As soon as he missed it, he was, for all intents and purposes, out of the match and had lost game number 1.
Yeah, he was down 9 pins going into that frame. If he struck, he would have been in the lead for the first time in the match. The final score, 216 to 168 in game number 1, as Handegard started with a double and then doubled up in the 9th and the 10th to keep the pressure on. In game 2, our championship frame featured John Handegard. This time in the 7th frame. Of course, another key shot for Handy.
Well, John was just throwing nothing but strikes. Jimmy Certain was getting nothing but opens. This is just one of the many strikes that John threw. He threw 8 in this game. You see the ball swinging out about to the 10th board, out to about 7 or so, and just back in and blows them apart at this point. He was carrying everything. That was the worst shot probably he threw because that came in a little light.
Had 5 strikes in the opening test. In game number 2, he amped that up to 8 X's and won easily, 252 to 148 over Jimmy Certain. Then it was on to the semifinal game, a rematch of last week's championship game in Hammond. And once again, it was Handegard striking, this time in the 9th.
And this one locked it up on pencil and paper and everything. No way that Beattie could win if he struck here. At about the 11th board, the ball comes in just flush. That's where he's throwing all of them all night long. If he keeps that up, Hricsina's going to have his hands full.
And for Handegard, it was 1 more X in the semifinal game as he finished the game with 9 strikes. And an easy victory in the semifinal for John Handegard, who continues to win in the championship round, 265 to 186. Championship Frame has been brought to you by Midas and its dealers across the country. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody. Well, championship game, John Hricsina has done nothing but strike, especially in match play. He's averaged nearly 240, and he'll need probably all of that to knock off Handegard.
Well, he certainly will, but I still think that Hricsina is the man to beat. Even though Handegard is both outstanding tonight, I'm still going with Hricsina.
Told me, John did, that at the end of qualifying, made a big move in speed and also angle. Slowed everything way down and started to arc the ball much better. He said his carry improved 100%. He's going to need that here in the title game.
Well, you never know what's going to happen. It's going to be a great match, I think. I just hope we have a close, tight, high-scoring match, Denny.
High scoring. Well, the scores were high all week long. 4 300 games here at M66 Bowl in Battle Creek. We'll be back with the final 2 here in the state of Michigan. John Handegard and our top seed, John Hricsina. He has watched the first 3 games. He realizes Handegard is lined up on the championship pair.
And as we predicted, he is starting the match, so he'll finish on the right lane.
And he better get off to a fast start.
That fast enough, Denny? This man is so strong. He amazes me. He is just, to me, he's the dominant player on the senior tour right now. He's been there all night.
Well, he's won 6 consecutive matches in the championship round. He's trying to make it number 7.
Well, I really think he needs to get out to a quick start because I'm convinced Hricsina is going to start striking. He's going to come out 17.2. It's the 10th and a half board. He's been right there, board and a half belly.
This guy's wearing out the second arrow.
Yeah, well, he's wearing out the consistent speed, too.
Good point for our bowling fans across the country. You have to have consistent speed if you want good results. And the results right now are what John Handegard is putting up on the board as he starts with a double, and Hricsina is down 10.
Staring at that rack. I don't know if he likes it or not. Here it comes. Oh! The bad break and leaves the 7-pin. And we see that he's starting in at the 15th board at 16.6.
All the way out to the 8th board.
Right. The difference in the way guys do it. 16's bellying the ball 8 boards as opposed to a board and a half for Handegard. A muscle game, but look how short the backswing is. He is so strong from this point on as he hits the pivot step here, a nice long slide, and just snaps it through.
Really explodes, turns the ball. This one comes up flush. So John Hricsina, who used to swing the ball almost over his head, he told me, and throw it probably twice as fast as he is now, ends up with a strike on lane 45. He said he's really changed his game quite a bit in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, he told me the same thing. It's amazing to think of him having a backswing over his head. Well, he must have broken some pins when he did that. I'll tell you.
This guy doesn't break him. He just caresses him down. See, you know when you got to go. When you watch those pins start rolling and revolving as they head into the pit, while you're just rolling them right off the deck at that point.
That's the classic perfect strike. The ball hit the 1, 3, 5, 9, and all the other pins hit the pins they were supposed to hit. The result 3 in a row and 30 in the first. 20-pin lead.
Start checking out those pins, and they're whirling on the way back. You know you're rolling that thing. 6 shots, 5 strikes. You were right. High scoring. Ooh, try to tickle that 7 down, and Hricsina is going. The guy finally stopped striking.
This machine, does he ever stop?
Tell you what, get a couple of batteries, you plug them in, the guy does nothing but go to the line and give you X's.
Well, he does nothing but throw it in the 1-3 pocket anyway. 1 shot in 3.5 games out of the pocket. No mistakes now. Cover the spare.
This evening, mistake is not in his repertoire.
And there's their PBA Hall of Famer, former public relations director of the PBA.
Coming out to lend a hand on the PBA Senior Tour, E.A. Bud Fisher.
Swung it more. Oh, my goodness. It's Handegard's night, I guess. You can't throw it any better than he threw that one. He threw it just a little bit slower and swung it just a little bit more. Look at the turn on this ball. Hits about the 12th, 13th board, out to about 7. And there's your result. The old solid 8. What some people said was the only true tap in bowling. Personally, I never believed that.
I don't think Hricsina believes that it stood. That was his best shot of the night.
16.6, started at 12.5, swung it out to 6.5. So he's swinging at 6 boards on the right lane, which we said all along was a little bit tighter.
16.6 in speed on both lanes. That's consistent. One more strike for Hricsina, who really is just a solid 8 away from being right in the thick of this one.
To being actually ahead. If he carries that, that's 20 pins. He's down 19. Oh, a little chink in the armor there.
A little more speed that time, 17.7, but he hit the 11 board. instead of 10. Ball looked like it skidded a little bit, didn't it?
Just a little bit.
You'd have been hitting 10, 10-5. That one hit the 11.
And a half of, 0.5 of a mile faster can make it skid just another foot or two and now make it back.
Of course, what we're chatting about is Brunswick Bowler Vision Bowler Track being supplied to us here on ESPN this summer to basically track the speed and direction and location of our professional shots. And it's been kind of fun for you and I to break it down at 15 feet and 45 feet. Miami Herald sports columnist, one of the outstanding bowling writers, an award-winning writer, and a PBA Hall of Famer in his own right. Dick Evans manning the press room along with EA Bud Fisher for the senior tour, and boy, they've done a marvelous job.
Marvelous job. Dick worked for the Miami Herald for 40 years.
And we've got about 80 years experience between the two of them, and they've done their best to keep you and I in line all week long, although they haven't been able to do that.
And John struggling just a little bit. He's gone now 3 frames without a strike. I really think that Hricsina is going to get right back in this. This one crept just a little bit high. You can see it was high all the way, left that 4-pin. Sometimes you trip it out with that 2-pin. Didn't do it this time.
Interesting thing there. No deflection whatsoever in Handegard's balls that went through the pocket that time.
Well, when it hits that high, it doesn't want to deflect.
Why is that? Is it rolled out?
No, because it's higher on the head pin at that point. What makes it deflect is it hits that head pin on the right. Sure. It makes it deflect to the right.
All right, that makes sense. Prize list this week, $5,000. And, of course, the Battle Creek PBA Senior Open up for grabs. Well, no solid 8 this time as he kicks out the 4 and the 10.
Actually, not as good a shot as he threw back in the 4th frame, but he got the good break with a 4-7-10 with the last to go. And, he's in the position. He has not missed lane 45. If he strikes here, he takes a 4-pin lead.
Working on a double. Shots as the Hricsina clan right there clapping at the result of the 3-bagger and the 4-pin lead.
Suddenly now Handegard finds himself down for the first time tonight. See how he responds. Has to get there. Oh, trips the 4 and the 9 out of there. Biggest shot of the week coming up right now for John Handegard, I think.
Down by 4, could retake the lead if he doubles here.
And put the pressure on Hricsina, let him know that he hasn't lost it. He's still in the match. You see the scoreboard there. 4 pins the difference. Big shot.
Good speed. Ball holds pocket, but that 10-pin nearly had company in the 8.
Just not the lift that he wanted. He had the good speed, but he didn't have the finger lift. Now he has to hope that Hricsina stops striking.
Matter of fact, that ball down there at 17.9 miles per hour, that was his hardest shot of the night.
Right.
Maybe frozen roped it, do you think?
Yeah, you could see he was in at the 13th board then, so he bellied it about 3 boards, but he got it in just a little bit more and threw it a little harder, and it hit a little weaker.
A spare up for Handegard in the 8th. Now it's up to John Hricsina to really take control of the match. He tripped the 4 and the 7 the last time on lane 46.
Is it going to fall? Doesn't look like it will. That keeps it a tight match, makes it a 3-pin match if he makes the spare. I'd like our viewers to watch how hard he throws at this spare. If we take a replay of the first shot, over about the 13th board, out to about 7, comes in light, and the 10-pin stands. And we missed his fireball at the 10-pin, but he does fire at those spares, I'll tell you.
A la Mark Roth and Joe Berardi. Those guys throw it harder than anybody at those 1-pin spares. Of course, the PBA Touring Pros in Edmond, Oklahoma, Boulevard Bowl this week for a major championship down that way.
3 pins the difference. 2 frames to go.
Rip the finger holes out of that shot. Does he trip the 2? Not quite.
Wow. Handegard has a chance now. He really has a chance that John didn't strike on that shot. He was really fortunate to get away with 9. Woo! It's a blur. John trying to figure out the score. Now, John, you're 2 pins ahead.
Possible 235, and he could close him out.
Will it carry? Yes.
Boy, that was a nice, loose swing. Nice and fluid.
That's the confidence.
Now, though, I think the key for him is the shot on the left-hand lane. He's had problems on
obviously.
45.
Well, this was Hricsina's strategy to begin with. He made him finish on his tougher lane. 2 pins. Will it hold? No. And he's handed it to Hricsina. He has to go for this, Den. He has to go for this all the way.
Six, 7, 10. It can be made.
Has to hit the 6 pin on the right, slide it across. Hey! Oh! What a shot! Oh my goodness, he was going for it all the way. You couldn't have done it. I thought he was going to slide it in front of it and not get it. You knew at this point it had a chance. Now he needs a strike to finish with 216 to make Hricsina get a strike somewhere.
Trying to gather himself after the brilliant split conversion. Better speed on this shot, and Handegard with a masterful 10th frame really gutted it out when the odds were against him.
And what he's made Hricsina do is to fill 19 pins in the 10th frame. He needs 9 spare strike to win by a pin.
Oh, nice extension. Too much, though. Through the nose, and John Handegard may have just won back-to-back.
He's won back-to-back. It's over.
Count no matter what.
No matter what, he's won.
Holy cow. Sue Handegard can't believe it. Hricsina fires it down. It'll do him no good. John Handegard with a brilliant split conversion in the 10th. Just outlast John Hricsina, who finishes second. So for Handegard, back-to-back victories. The final 216 to 202. And here's a look at the other finishers. But right now, everybody just staring at the man on top, John Handegard, who wins back-to-back. A good look at the top 24, the way they stacked up at the end of this one in Battle Creek this week. And we'll head to commercial. John Handegard has done what very few players, whether seniors or touring players, have ever done. Step into the winner's circle on successive weeks. The reason being because of the brilliant conversion of the split in the 10th. What was going through your mind?
I tell you what, things have been going my way all day, and I just thought I lost it. Even with the short count, I didn't think I had a chance the way John was bowling. I just shot for the 10 pin and got lucky, I think.
Lucky? I would say that's probably the understatement of the season. Converting the 6, 7, 10 in the 10th, you forced Hricsina to count 19, and he couldn't quite come up with that. 2 in a row. Are you surprised you've won back-to-back?
I'm astounded. I mean, you wait this long to get 1 and then get 2. But Don Johnson told me just the other day, he said, sometimes they come in bunches.
And maybe there'll be 3 in a row before it's all over. Mr. McCluskey, you have a beautiful check here for John Handegard.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
The proprietor here at M66 Bowl, and of course the general manager, Kevin Leiter. And Kevin, you got a nice trophy to present. It's back-to-back for this guy.
Yes, it is. John, on behalf of Battle Creek and M66 Bowl, thank you for one of the finest finals I've ever seen.
Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate all the help you and your employees have given us, and the fans have really been great here in Battle Creek, and we're looking forward to coming back next year.
All right, Sue. Susan, you said that blue was a bad color. He had lost many matches, 7 in a row. Now you've gone to the lavender. You had pink on last week. What will you wear the next time?
Well, I'm not sure yet. I have to go shopping and find out.
If he keeps winning, you know, she's going to keep going to buy things, John.
He knows that. It scares him to death.
Michael, you have a quick question for the latest winner.
Well, John, you're heading on down to Austin. Are you ready to take on the juniors down there?
Well, I'm heading out. I got 1,300 miles to go, and I have to bowl a PTQ, so I'm not even in the tournament yet. So I got about a 30-hour drive, and when I get there, I have to bowl 10 games in a pre-tournament qualifying. I'll tell you what, those kids are a whole bunch tougher than these guys.
I can tell you one thing. It took him 22 years to win his first PBA championship. Took him less than a week to follow it up with number 2. So long, everybody. From Battle Creek, Michigan, John Handegard, the winner here at M66 Bowl. The championship round finals of the $50,000 Battle Creek PBA Senior Open have been brought to you by Advil Advanced Medicine for pain. Use only as directed. By Rheem Air Conditioning. Rheem, the air of quality. And by HBO. Simply the best.